This is not a great controller, but it's a great GameCube controller. I'm Bobby, this is Shiny Brain, and I wanted to take some time and really lay my thoughts out there about this Nintendo Switch Online wireless GameCube controller for the Nintendo Switch 2. It's $70, and it is available only one per Nintendo account for right now because the demand for this thing has been kind of so strong that they're limiting it for right now. And you know, it's obviously nostalgia bait, especially for someone who's my age. I mean, the GameCube came out, I think, around the time I was like 10 or 11. I have a lot of formative memories of the GameCube, playing Smash, playing Mario Kart, and I'm absolutely someone who, when Nintendo said that Nintendo Switch Online was getting GameCube games added in, no additional cost if you've got the expansion pack version of Nintendo Switch Online, I was like, sign me up. But that service launched super disappointingly. There were only 3 games at launch. You could have Zelda Wind Waker, which was awesome, but it's the original version, not the HD re-release that they did for the Wii U. It's the GameCube version with all the warts. Soul Calibur 2, good fighting game, and F-Zero, which is a gem. I had not really played it that much back in the day. I don't think I ever owned it, and it was really cool to see such an awesome take on a racing game, very different from Mario Kart from Nintendo. And playing with this thing reminded me that the GameCube was weird. You know, it is weird in good ways, but you know, this thing does not look like controllers that you would use today, and it definitely doesn't look like one you would make if you were going to make one from scratch. I mean, just taking a look at this thing, the gigantic A button in the middle, the idea that some buttons in the button layout would be kind of in a more, it would scream out as more important. That had never really been done before or after this controller, but it was, you know, kind of an idea like, look, the A button, it's the button, you're going to press it a bunch. And then the B button is kind of like down here, tiny. Like, why is the B button so small? The kidney bean buttons of X and Y, you know, those kind of create this duality between the two of them, like they're going to play off each other in some way. It's a weird layout, and for a lot of games, you know, for some Nintendo games, it made a lot of sense. Like Metroid took advantage of this layout in ways that made sense. Like A was the fire button. You're going to press that a lot. Hit A to fire. It's the biggest button. You can't miss it. The other thing that makes this controller extremely weird by today's standards is the one shoulder button up top. The one Z button is in a lot of ways, one of the biggest problems with this controller then and now. At the time, the PlayStation had 2 bumper buttons up top for each side, and the Xbox screwed it up. They had the black and white buttons, but with the 360, those became the 2 shoulder bumpers like the PlayStation had. And even now, the Pro Controller for the Switch 1 and 2, and even the Wii U and Wii Pro Controllers, you know, they all had the typical dual bumper setups. So that puts this thing at a big disadvantage if you're going to use it for playing anything other than GameCube games. And now you're going to ask me, well, why would I do that? Because obviously it's a GameCube controller. The idea is it's for GameCube games. And I would tell you, it's $70. Are you just going to get a novelty controller for $70? I did, but I'm a crazy person. You shouldn't do what I do. I do these things so you can watch this video and go, yeah, maybe not. But going down that path a little bit more here for a second. This controller has extremely limited compatibility outside the Switch GameCube app. Technically, there's nothing stopping you from using this from any game that you would want, with at least 2 major asterisks to that statement. The first one being, remember those bumpers I just told you about? There is technically a left Z button up top here. It's so small. Why? Why did they make this so small? In the GameCube app, this brings up the overlay menu, and in that sense, it's pretty helpful. But if you wanted to, for some reason, use this thing to control really any other game, it's barely adequate. I mean, really, to do anything. You can't feel it as easy. It's harder to press because it's so tiny. It's just not a great setup. And the other problem with this is that these, again, true to form of the original GameCube controller, the sticks don't have buttons pressed in. There's no like L3 or R3, again, to use PlayStation kind of nomenclature. You can't press them. And there are modern games that require you to press the joystick and get that click. There's no way to do that here. The other thing is the C stick on this. It's born from a very different idea of like what we would use this for and how often we would need it. Nintendo, when you think about it, really didn't get dual analog sticks right until I guess the Wii Pro Controller, technically, because it did have two actual joysticks that were the same and weren't weird. The C stick on this has this like 8-directional thing that's stopping it, and it's this nub. It's just kind of harder to take seriously because it's harder to grip. I'm a big fan of the grip on the main stick. I think this is really nice and it's iconic. I mean, it's got this kind of good ringed kind of grip for your thumb to rest on. That's all well and good. But I think maybe in 2000, the idea that we might be really using dual analog sticks to the extent that we are today, that might have been a bet Nintendo wasn't quite ready to make. The C stick here, it feels like you're meant to like flick it or just kind of quickly use it and then move on. It's way better than the C buttons on the N64 controller. That was a disaster. And, really creates one of the bigger problems that controller has in terms of being helpful today is Nintendo made this weird bet that actually all you need are 2 face buttons and 4 directional buttons and everything will be great. I have one of those controllers too. There's a problem with me. I know there's a problem with me, but I hope there's not a problem with you. So in any case, using this controller outside of its stated purpose, not great. And that even comes to games where you think maybe this would be kind of cool to have. So the Metroid remaster on the original Switch, which of course you can play on the Switch 2, will not work very well with this controller because you need that top bumper in order to do pretty important things. There's no way to remap the GameCube controller in the Switch settings. You can do that for the Pro controller. You cannot do it for this, which is one of the weirder software restrictions I've ever seen, but it is Nintendo. I should not be surprised. If you could reroute, the software, the button mapping, you might be able to get around some of these issues, but you're going to run into problems where you really want that ZL button that's not very good, or you need to click in on these sticks, which you can't do, and there's no way to remap the controller. It works a little bit better for Mario Sunshine. That is a GameCube ROM for all intents and purposes. They didn't remap things to the ZL button on the Switch when they came up with that game in the Mario All-Stars 3D pack. So you can actually use this with Mario All-Stars if you want to for the Mario Sunshine ROM on that game. It also works pretty well for Smash Ultimate, and there's a certain group of people that'll only play Smash with a GameCube controller. This will make them happy. It's really the only game I can think of where outside of the GameCube Nintendo Switch Online app, you could probably use this without futzing with it too much and enjoy it, and you're not making really too many compromises. So would I recommend you get this controller? I think if you don't have any nostalgia for it, if you're just like GameCube, what? Absolutely not. This is not for you. And you can save that $70 and put it towards Pokemon, which, by the way, will cost $100 this year. Thank you, Nintendo. If you look at the lineup of Switch Online GameCube games and you're like, I really want to play that one, and you have a little bit of extra cash and you have a lot of room in your heart for this very weird controller, that you think, man, playing this game with this controller would be just so cool, and, you know, again, like light up the nostalgia part of my monkey brain, then, you know, by all means, $70. Go ahead. But for really most other people, I would strongly recommend saving that money, because Nintendo stuff is not getting any cheaper. That was my big takeaway from the Direct from this month, is that just everything is getting so much more expensive. And if you want to see what I mean, check out this video here, all headlined by that Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 bundle. That's $70 for a couple of 15-year-old games. Thanks for watching. This has been Shiny Brain. If you like this, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.